to record on my other thing. I am a professional. I know what I'm doing. Not that I ever use this other footage to record. I record these just in case. Just in case, like, I end up having to, like, take the video down, the live down for some reason. And then I have, like, another version that's not recorded as well, and then I'm not going to edit. It's pointless, but, like, I don't know. Have it as a backup, I guess. Why not? What? Maybe I'll do something. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyone who watches my content on a regular basis, it is not November 16th. I don't even know how to set my calendar. Change my calendar to November 16th. Hello. Hello, my love. I don't even have my... Man. Nobody should be expecting professionalism from me at this point, so it's fine. It's fine. That's one thing that I decided when I, like, started making this content. It's just like, I'm not going to try to be too serious, because, like, I'm not. I mean, it's a serious topic that I talk about, you know, with Christianity, religion, things like that, but, like, I'm not that serious of a person, nor should I really be taken seriously. So it's just, it's not that deep, you know? It's not that deep. I don't try to make it that deep. I try to have a little bit more fun. That's one of the reasons I love doing these live streams so much, is because I do get to just be more of my, you know, happy, not really happy, but, like, more of myself. Because in the shorts, and even in some of the longer videos, it's me trying to be serious and, like, get a point across and, like, make content and stuff. Here I can just sit and talk and be me, especially with the shorts, because I have, like, 60 seconds to do it. Although we can do it longer now on here, so that's good news. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I like doing the live stream so much. I'm gonna say hi to the people. I'm gonna say hi to the people. People like cats. People like cats. I'm a big kitten. Aww. Just laid right down on me. He's a baby. It's a big 12-year-old baby, or 12, 11, something. I don't know. I forget how old they are. More than 10. But she's still my kitten. All cats are kittens in my eyes, and all dogs are puppies in my eyes. So if you ever hear me, like, saying that, that's what I'm saying. I am the person who, like, will see a video of a tiger doing something cute, and I'll just be like, it's a kitty. I want to pet the kitty. Kitty will kill me, but, like, I want to pet the kitty. It is a her. Her name is Snickers. It's a mama cat. She's a good cat. We got good cats. Hi. Hi. I was petting her and I stopped. She looked up. Hi. Look, you can see your face in the camera. Yeah, just stay in this position the entire live so that there can be a cute cat on the screen, because that gets views. This is a guy. Okay. Hi. Hello. Welcome. I am a human that exists. Or if we were talking about the cat is a her. Yes, that one. Popped it. I'm just scrolling. And she's a big cat too. She's like 14 pounds or something like that. She's a big kitten. She's a big kitten, but she's still my kitten, and I still love her. She's a good, sweet girl. Yeah, that's it. Keep looking up. Keep looking up. I noticed that. And it's nice because sometimes I like posting cat videos, and the cat videos just kind of, like, sometimes get me more views and stuff. It's like, aha, use them to my advantage. I like cat videos. I don't want all my content to be about atheism. I mean, I have a whole gaming channel. I haven't posted on it in like 2 or 3 years, but it exists. You know, links at the bottom of my my profile channel. If you ever want to check that out, it's a thing that exists. There's quite a few videos on it and playthroughs, but not much. Nothing much. I do mostly focus on atheism in this content. I remember when I first started making content on just like the Drew Skaggs channel. It was on a different platform that I started on. And if you scroll to the bottom of like my TikTok, you'll see me just trying different things, just trying different types of content, trying to be funny. I was definitely just trying to make it, just try to see if like I can get views or whatnot. And then I posted a video, just as I was like bouncing around trying things. I posted a video about mental health, and that got more interactions. It's like, I love talking about mental health. You know, I have mental health issues, and I think mental health is important. So I love talking about mental health. And then naturally, talking about my mental health led to me talking about religion and how it's impacted my mental health. And that got even more attention. And I say more attention, it was early on, it was like 100 views versus like 5. You know, like more attention, nothing like blew up. But I'm just like, oh, I really liked. I'm very passionate about religion. I've always been passionate about religion, so maybe we can go there. And about 2 years later, here I am, still just learning more than I ever thought I would about a religion, and studying it more closely, and just talking about it more than I ever thought I would. And I really like it. I really like it. It's just fun. People say like, this guy needs to get a hobby, needs to get, a job. First off, I have a job. Second off, this is my hobby. I enjoy doing this, and I don't get paid for it. Maybe one day it'd be nice to. I'm not going to say no if this becomes my job, but let's be realistic. It's probably not going to happen, but it's still fun. I enjoy it. It's like I enjoy these live streams. Every live stream I do, I reach like the hour mark. I try to keep them like at an hour or just under an hour. I reach that hour mark, and it's just like I want to keep going. I want to keep talking. Because I'm passionate about this subject, especially when I get people like engaging in the chat who like, especially that I can get like back and forths and like actually discuss things. It's fun because I'm open to stuff. I always get comments like, you're just closed off to any evidence for a God. You wouldn't believe it even if we could prove it to you. That's not true at all. I want to know what's true. I want to believe what's true. I want to have reason to believe that, things that I believe are true. I don't know how else to put it, but if there is a God out there, I want to know that. I want to know that, whether I like it or not, especially depending on the types of gods. Like, I would not like the Christian God to be existent, but if he is, I want to know that. I want to know that. Doesn't mean I'm going to follow him, but I want to know that. So, like, I'm open to evidence. I really am. And when I first started making this content, I was really optimistic that I was just going to get, like, blown out of the water. Like, all these amazing arguments for a God. But the further I dig, the more arguments I come across for the existence of God. And, like, some of them are like, okay, but others not so much, it just kind of, it just isn't there. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. It doesn't hold up to any burden of proof or anything. It's people often think that, like, in the realm of science, it favors science and it criticizes religion. Like there's an inequality in treatment. Like it doesn't keep science under the same scrutiny as it does religion. The truth is, they both undergo the same amount of scrutiny and testing. Yes, I stopped petting you. They both undergo the same amount of scrutiny and testing and studying. But scientific stuff like evolution holds up. It holds up to the scrutiny, where religion just doesn't. It just kind of falls apart. It's just kind of how it is. It's not unfair treatment. It's just that religion just doesn't really have much for it, or the argument for the existence of a God. It doesn't really have much to it. I also really hope to some form of the supernatural. not like the biblical God, but like Beetlejuice, maybe Beetlejuice. I would love for there to be an afterlife, souls, spirits. I think a lot about reincarnation. I think that'd be interesting. Um, just more. I would love there, especially because I always used to love spiritual, supernatural stuff. I used to think that I had like a deep supernatural spiritual connection. Like I could feel like good and evil, dark and light energies, and like manipulate energies. Like I used to be in it, you know. Like I used to think I had a deep connection with all that stuff, and it's kind of sad that I've come to the conclusion that I just don't have any reason to believe. Because, you know, I mean, we don't get to choose our beliefs. You're either convinced of enough of something to warrant a belief or you're not. And no matter how much I would like some of this stuff to be true, I am no longer convinced, you know? Don't bite me. They're very, very cute love bites. It's like lick, lick, num. Lick, lick, num. You're too cute. That's it. Be cute for the camera. Be cute for the camera. What about you? What was I talking about? But I would love that to be real, especially like come Halloween. I've said this a lot, but like come Halloween time, it being as I am now, not believing in anything supernatural, going into Halloween is like going into Christmas not believing in Santa. Like it's still fun, it's still great, and you can still get into some like the magic and some of like, you know, the coolness and wonder of the season, but it doesn't have that same magic when you stop believing in certain things. So I don't know. I really had high hopes that, you know, when I started making this content, I'd really just be proven wrong. Like stepping into something that I actually don't know anything about. Like there's no evidence for God, and I thought I was just going to be absolutely demolished. You know, like you're an idiot. Here's all this actual good evidence for the supernatural. You idiot. You know, and that didn't happen. And then, you know, it's been 2 years and it still hasn't happened. And I'm not a big content creator, so, you know, maybe there's still more people out there. But I also look at other apologists, you know, and other activists for, you know, atheism and Christianity and other religions, and still not really seeing it. You know, a lot of atheist activists who still really aren't getting good evidence. And it's, what can you do? What can you do at the end of the day? Because, like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I definitely wouldn't want, like, I don't think I'd be down for like any of the gods of the religions, uh, any of the major religions, especially not any of the Abrahamic gods. Wouldn't be down for that. I think I'd rather there be nothing, but something, right? Something, especially like the Christian God. So, some versions of heaven, some popular and perhaps more accurate versions of heaven, are just you worshiping God forever. Like you're up there in heaven and you're just so overcome with how amazing he is that that's all you can think about is just worshiping and praising him. That's the good ending. The bad ending is eternal torment. Those are our two options. Those are our two possibilities. Those are the two things, the only two things that we have to work towards. And people often say, well, if you're an atheist, then there's no point to anything. You have no point in life. There's no point in life if Christianity is true, in my opinion. If that's the version of heaven, and it's either that or eternal damnation, there's no point in anything. All of this was made just so we could mindlessly worship God forever in heaven. That's pointless and stupid. And it's also just, I always like to point out how there's only two options. Is either love and serve God or suffer. Because he can't give us a third option. He can't give us a third option. It's either love us or I'll torment you. It's, you know, love me or I'll torment you for all of eternity. Like a proper abusive partner. Because the God of the Bible is an abusive partner. The Christian God is an abusive partner. Love me or I'll hurt you. You're not good enough. You're nothing without me. You need me. You're just going to be evil and disgusting and sinful without me. You know, it's just, it's manipulation. And it's gross. It's just not what I'm here for. And then you talk about Jesus. You know, he loves us. He gave his only son to die for us. So God comes down. God's an eternal being. He comes down for about 30 years. Away from his eternal bliss in heaven, comes down for about 30 years. Has an okay 30 years. Has a really not okay last few days. And then dies. And, like, that's great and all. It's not. But then 3 days later, he gets back up like nothing happens. You know, like, I'm not, if Christianity is true, I'm not, like, knocking the horrible things that Jesus went through in his last days. I'm not. You know, that sounds awful. I couldn't handle that. But, like, 3 days later, not even, but, you know, a couple days later, he got up like nothing happened. And he went walking around talking to people. He let someone stick their fingers in his wounds like it was a party trick. And then he skipped back up to heaven and continued his eternal bliss. So, like, what did he sacrifice? You know, if I give my life for someone, I do it with the understanding that that's it. That, you know, that's it, and I don't get another shot, and I'm giving my all. He just came down for a little bit, and then went back up to heaven. He didn't sacrifice anything, and it just all becomes a big egotistical, manipulative, look at me display. Like, I often paint it as like an abuser, and an abuse victim. If the victim has kidney failure, needs a kidney, and the abuser donates a kidney, now the abuser can use that over the victim and say, I donated a kidney, and hold it over you. You can't leave me. You know, I look at what I did for you. I gave you a kidney. Now you can never leave me. That was drilled into my head. I went to Catholic school, K through 12th grade. That was drilled into my head. Look at what Jesus did for you. Look at all. There's a crucifix in every classroom. Look at what all that Jesus did for you, and then you're just gonna go sin. How dare you? Just making us feel like shit for even, like, the simplest things. You know, like swearing or missing mass. You know, not even doing, like, actual morally wrong things. Just it's gross, and it's manipulative, and it's abusive, and it's just a terrible mindset. He sacrificed his weekend. Yes, he did. It's just a terrible mindset, and that's one thing that just breaks my heart when I see people who hello when I see people who defend that. And it's like, yeah, I am just worthless. I am nothing without God. That's sad, and it's not true. Like, first off, prove your God is even real. Second off, it, if anyone was in a human relationship and their partner was treating them and talking to them like God supposedly does us, you're nothing without me, you're a dirty rag, you don't even deserve my love, all this stuff, we would be telling that person to get the fuck out of that relationship. But as with everything with the Christian God, it's okay when he does it. Murder is wrong, except for the times that God murdered people, and not even counting the genocides that he committed and commanded. It's fine when he does it. Everything's fine when he does it. It's not an issue when God does it. It's just gross, and it's twisted, and it's wrong, and it's just a terrible, terrible mindset. Like, even I was talking to people recently, because, you know, the election is happening, and, you know, there's fears of Christian nationalism and whatnot, and I well, even without that, somebody also commented recently saying, like, atheists and Christians both need to shut up. I agree. But Christianity is being pushed so much in this country to the point where people who aren't Christian are at risk of losing certain rights. You know, if you're not a straight white Christian male, we got to push back against that. If that wasn't a threat, if that wasn't an issue, I would be much less adamant in my content. I would still probably speak out against Christianity, just because, you know, the reasons I was just listing. I just think it's kind of just a gross, bad thing. But I would not be as adamant. I would not be as, you know, I don't know what other word to think of, but, you know, adamant about it. You know, I wouldn't be as pressed about it as I am. But yeah, it's a problem. It is definitely a problem. Yeah, I heard about how Catholic guilt wasn't just about wasn't just about sexual stuff, but literally any enjoyment in life is a sin, and it's so sad. Sometimes It depends on, well, with any denomination, it depends on who you're talking to. You know, everyone, there's thousands of different denominations of Christianity, each with their own interpretations of stuff. And within those, there's how many different other um, people within those denominations, each with their own interpretation. So, you know, I literally had different religion teachers in different years teaching different things. But definitely was stuff like that. You explained it fine. I got it. I mean, do you know who you're talking to? You know how many things I terribly explain on a regular basis? You know how many of my critics just say I'm just spouting nonsense and incoherent rambling, and I can't disagree with them? It was a whole big Tumblr post. It's fine. Well, no, I mean, it's fine. We don't need to all be perfect and articulate. I certainly am not. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I just don't know. And it makes me sad seeing my family, my loved ones, and seeing how sad they are for me, and seeing how sad people get for when people leave Christianity, because you're taught that, like, you're gonna go to hell. You've turned away from God. You've turned away from Christ. You've fallen into the hands of the devil, and it's just all over. It's just done, you know. And that you're taught about how tragic that is and how sad and horrible. And it's not, you know. And meanwhile, they go to mass and they're told about, you know, how horrible they are and how they need God, you know, like we need oxygen, and it's just not. It's just not like that. It really just isn't. I mean, first, prove any of it is even happening. Prove any of it is even real. Prove that there is a God and that this is how it works, and that it's your God. Fucking, I've been intending to make a video about Pascal's Wager recently, and how just dumb it is, and how just it doesn't work. Because Pascal's Wager, or Pascal's Wager, I might be pronouncing it wrong, please forgive me. It's basically, you should just believe in God. You just should. Because if you believe and he's real, then you get to go to heaven. If you believe and he's not real, that's whatever. It doesn't matter anyway. And a lot of Christians will argue, at least you spent your life being a Christian, and that's like the best form of a person that you can be. I disagree, but you know, that's me. But then if you don't believe and there's a God, you go to hell. And if you don't believe and there isn't a God, then it's whatever. There's a few issues with it, including what God? What God? And how do you know? What God and what version of what God? So there's a Christian God. Which one? I'm not even a giant content creator, and even just in my comment sections, over the past 2 years, the amount of different Christian gods that I've been presented with is a little bit ridiculous. It just sounds like everyone's just kind of making it up as they go along. And it's because there are thousands of different denominations of Christianity with different interpretations, and so many people within those denominations, each with their own interpretations. It's just like you're rolling a multiple-sided thing of dice, and just like hoping for the best. And that's, I don't know. Hope you're right. Hope you picked the right one, because that's the odds are not in your favor. There's a lot of different versions of your God, and then there's a lot of other gods. And then but then also there's the issues of, my train of thought left. I watched it. We don't get to choose what we believe. People say, well, just believe. Just do it. Just believe. I don't get to do that. You're either convinced enough of something to warrant a belief, or you're not. You don't get a say in that. You could like to believe things or not like to believe things. But when it comes down to it, if you really ask yourself, do I believe in this or not? That's not really something that's like up to you. It's not something you get to choose. So if I don't believe, if I genuinely just don't believe, What do I just fake it till I make it? Does God give brownie points because I played along? I don't believe in you or like you, but like I played along. Do I get a trophy? Or do you think we can just pull one over? Do you think we can trick him, into thinking like, oh look at how amazing they are. They must love me, and like we actually don't. It's it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna explain my beliefs to my parents because my dad is the pastor of our church. Good luck. Um, know that just not doing it is an option too. Just I don't know how old you are or if you're still living with your parents, but like once you move out, you're just kind of free, and maybe you just don't have to bring it up. They might notice that you aren't going to church anymore, which would be a shame. Um, you could just tell them, but again, if it's a living situation, if you're a minor and you're still living with them, it unfortunately, and I hate giving this advice, but it's honestly probably not the worst. It's if you are still living with them and dependent on them, and I don't know your parents, maybe they'll be more understanding than I think, but if they're not, there have been parents who have kicked out their kids for being atheist or for being gay or trans or whatever, and I don't want to see that happen to anyone. So sometimes we have to stay in the closet. Sometimes we have to hide who we are until we're safe. And then once you're safe, once you're out, you're good. You're solid. If they are Christians, they believe in unconditional love. Unconditional love, terms and conditions apply. So we love you unconditionally, or it's we love you, but we can't support you, or we don't love your sin. It's however many ways we can twist it and turn it into discriminating against people, but still calling it love. I have the I have the election map pulled up, anxiously watching. Just looking over at it every now and then. It's not happy things on it. When I told my mom she didn't really care that much, she said she wouldn't stop loving me over that. And some parents are like that, and that's good. My mom was pretty much like that. Uh, I didn't hear anything. My dad hasn't really said anything to me about any of it, which is interesting. Thought she'd flip, and then she just didn't care. Well, good. I'm happy. I wish all of them worked like that. Trump is winning right now, and it's kind of looking like that's going to be. It's kind of looking like he's going to win. I mean, it's not over yet, but like, it's kind of looking like he's going to win. It's one of those things. Somebody made a post where they said they're nauseously optimistic about Harris winning, and I'm like, I feel that. I feel that. She admitted I sort of broke her heart, but she said she isn't responsible for what I believe in. Fair, fair. My mom's just like, I always worry that it's something I did. Like she worries that it was a failure on her part, which I hate. I hate that there are parents who think that, who are like, because that's what Christianity teaches. And I was at an event at my church a couple of years ago, um, and they had a mass going on, and I was like, they have like this back hallway with like a bunch of back rooms, and they were having our event in there. But like I was walking around and I listened in. It was to the homily that was going on in mass because they had a mass going on, and it was the priest talking about younger people leaving the faith, and how bad it is for parents, and how much it can hurt, and we need to make sure we don't let our younger kids leave the church and whatnot. It's like I don't want them to feel bad about that. I don't want them to think they failed. I am better off than I have ever been, mentally and emotionally, now that I have left Christianity, now that I've come out, now that I've, gotten away from all of that. It's so much better. But I've fallen into sin and fallen away to Satan, and I'm going to hell, and it's just like, if it's even real, if it's even real. And my mom's like, I sometimes worry it was something that I might have done, and I didn't respond for a lot of reasons. But I'm just sitting here like, don't worry if it's something that you've done. Because whatever you did was good because I ended up getting out. That's good. That's good. It would have been terrible for me and my mental health and maybe even my physical health if I would have stayed Christian and remained following Christianity. It would have been so much worse. I would have been so much more unhappy. So it's like, don't be too hard on yourself and don't listen to your fucking pastor who tells you, who might tell you, I don't know what their pastors say. I haven't gone to church with them in a while. Don't listen to pastors that say like, "Oh, you failed your children." No, shut the fuck up. Because at the end of the day, you don't control your kids. You don't, and you give it your best shot in shaping them how you want them to be or whatever. That's kind of gross. Um, but at the end of the day, they're their own people, and they're gonna grow up to be their own people, and they're gonna make their own choices, and you might not like all of them. Tough shit, you might not. It might not matter, it's not up to you. For me, when I stopped being Christian, my mental health was better and I was less anxious, but it definitely didn't go away all the way. Not sure if there's baggage left over or if it's something else. There's definitely, for me, there's definitely some deconstruction to go through. Kind of like a gradual, just as I'm peeling back more layers of my deconstruction. But also, I I have anxiety and depression. I just do, and I have past trauma that I have to deal with in my head still, and I have ADHD sprinkled in just for fun. You know, people often comment on my videos. You say you're so much happier and better, but we don't really see it. Yeah, because I am much happier and better, but I do still have depression and anxiety. My wires still aren't really how they're supposed to be, and that's not something that just gets fixed. Especially after 20 plus years of that stuff, and only a few years being out of it. It doesn't all just kind of go away. Plus, there are other aspects of my upbringing, other than religion, Christianity, that aided in my mental health issues. So I am much better off and happier and calmer. But I'm not gonna be all happy and perky and bouncing off the walls. I'm just all broken. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna be fully fixed. But as long as I'm better than I was however many years ago, as long as I keep improving, we're good. You don't believe in God? I don't believe in God either. I can also be turned around and people can force their kids to be Christian. Yeah, which isn't good either. Yeah. I don't want to force my child to be anything. I'm going to try to be very neutral. And she's still a little too young for me to like even try to explain anything to her, but like I'm going to try to be like neutral. What's a god? It's this thing. I'm going to explain it obviously. It's this thing that people believe in. We don't really have any evidence for it. I don't believe that it exists, but like maybe it does. Who knows? I'm gonna try to help her keep an open mind because you got to keep an open mind. No matter what you land on with your beliefs, you got to try to keep an open mind and try to explore. But I'm not gonna try to force her to believe or not believe either way. Obviously I'm gonna teach her stuff like evolution, science, and stuff. But like I don't know. When it comes to God and stuff, I just try to be neutral. We are animated meat that talks for some reason. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but more or less. More or less. It's not the most inaccurate thing that I've heard. I wouldn't even say it's technically inaccurate. It's weird. Life is weird. How did humans get like this? And what is this? And how does this work? It's weird. It's crazy. I mentioned this in another live. I talk about a lot of the same stuff. Hopefully nobody minds. But it's someone commented, we get so used to the amazingness of God's creation that we we just get used to it. It doesn't surprise us. So it's like, oh, that's a tree. It exists. You don't know. You don't pay attention to how amazing it is that the tree. What is a tree? What does it look like? How did it get there? And I'm sitting here thinking, I love the idea, not on board with the conclusion, but love the idea because we do get desensitized. Like, what is a tree? What I was driving home from work, a few months ago, and I was looking at the trees. That common argument that more often these days I see atheists making fun of Christians for, rather than more than I see Christians actually using it. But like, look at the trees. Look at the trees. Yeah, look at the trees. It's cool. It's cool. The universe is cool and it's big. And how does this work? And it's crazy and it's weird. And we don't understand how all it works. It is. Some less animated than others. People losing amazement need to keep studying science, in my opinion. Yeah, studying science is a great way to keep that amazement. Just looking at a tree. What is it? What is a tree? What makes up a tree? How does this work? Like, I don't know. Space is a vacuum. Space is a vacuum. We can't survive in space. Fortunately, we're on this rock, and this rock has a bubble that protects us from the vacuum. What? Yeah, that's more. And I stick to the rock. No matter, even if I'm like at the bottom of the rock, I still like stick to it. And we're all just walking around on this spherical object, not falling, not being sucked into the vacuum, not suffocating. That's weird. It's weird. It's weird. How did the universe form? How did it get here? How did everything? What was step one and how? What was before step one? Was there a step one? There's so much. And the rock grows weird hair. And the rock grows weird hair. And it's also covered in water. And the what's what I'm looking for? The species that seems to be in charge of the rock can't even drink the vast majority of the water. The vast majority of the water isn't even drinkable for us. But we survive anyway. Humans are weird. Peppers. Stay with me. Peppers are spicy and hot to deter predators from eating them. It is an evolutionary advantage to keep predators from eating them. We eat that and burn our mouths and our guts and say, that's good. And not only do we say, I want more, but then we go and start biologically engineering and like selective breeding and stuff to get hotter peppers. We're psychopaths. Not only are we eating this thing that's meant to deal pain, and that does deal pain to anyone that eats it, but we say, it doesn't hurt enough. I need more. And caffeine, too. Caffeine, I don't know if it's a caffeine plant or if it's like some other, I'm not sure how caffeine works. But, the plant that, it all comes from has a chemical that's supposed to, rapidify heartbeat in insects and kill them. So it's a deterrent to stop insects from eating them. A lot of us drink that on a daily basis. We're psychopaths. Humans are psychopaths. You're the revelation of Jesus Christ. Well, welcome. Good to see you. Light in itself is weird. It has no mass. It only has energy from its motion, and all matter is basically suspended. Light energy. Yeah. It's weird. Reality is weird. It is weird. And we have whole ass competitions for the we have whole ass competitions for the pain plants. Who can make the best pain plant? Blessed are those invited to the wedding feast of the Lamb. Cool. I don't think I'm gonna make it to that feast, but have fun. We can be animals when we lack spirit, in my reckoning. Maybe. Who can eat the most? Who can eat the most? Who cannot eat the most? Who can lose the most weight and be skinny because that's attractive? It's attractive to starve yourself. Humans are weird, bizarre creatures. And some of the hang-ups are really weird. like racism. We have a lot of racism in this country. Why? I don't like that person. Why? Their skin color's different. Like, I don't know. There are children starving to death on the streets. Let's get pressed about different issues. let's like focus our energy on like important things that aren't like that person thinks a different thing than I do. Hey bro, God is real and loves you more than you can imagine. Cool. I don't really believe you, but I appreciate the sentiment. Snickers, you're aggravating my allergies. You're so cute though. Fortunately, I took my allergy medication before I went live. Otherwise, I'd be a lot worse. I don't have any reason to believe that God is real. And I'm not really a fan of the Christian God anyway. So, you know, there's that. Humans are weird. Humans are weird. And the world is weird. And I completely understand how people say, like, how could this be intelligent design? Even though I don't think we're intelligently designed. But like, how did it come to be? How did it come to be without a designer? I don't know. I don't know. But you haven't proven the designer exists or can do this stuff, so I don't believe it. I agree it's weird, and I don't have a better explanation. But let's find an explanation that actually has evidence. Hair grows on the body to help with something, I don't know, humans. Nuh-uh, that's not sexy, shaves it off. Yeah. The Christian God is the God of love your neighbor, though, and love your enemy. That's radical. Not really the God of the Bible. It's also a really gross, manipulative type of love. The design is not evidence, because I don't really believe we're intelligently designed. I mean, we still have wisdom teeth that grow in and mess up our mouths that we need to get removed. The appendix still exists. Our backs aren't designed for an animal that can walk upright, that can walk on two legs. Our eating and breathing tube is in the same spot, so if we choke on food, we can't breathe and we suffocate. I need glasses to see clearly. And even when I'm wearing my glasses, I have to be careful because my ears are lopsided. So I need to make sure my glasses aren't also lopsided because that messes with my vision. But even when I have my glasses correctly fixed on my face, I'm still colorblind. This cute little kitten on my lap, I'm allergic to her. But thankfully, there's modern medicine brought to you by science. I know I moved, I'm sorry. Brought to you by science that allows me to hold this kitten without completely dying. The God is described in Scripture and the God represented by many so-called Christians are very divergent often, I agree. Yeah, the God described in Scripture is kind of a monster. Have I checked out Cliff Nettle? Yeah, I'm not really impressed by him. I look at my dogs and I'm like, there's no intelligent design there. Some of the things that animals do, it's just like, we all have our flaws, or we be God. Think of the Mandelbrot set. We all need differences. I don't know what the Mandelbrot set. I don't know what that is. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a fallen world. Well, it's a shitty God that created it, apparently. So, you know, there is that. It's kind of doomed from the start. Especially because all this mess started, all of this fallen world stuff started in the Garden of Eden. When God made humans, didn't give them the knowledge of good and evil, put that knowledge in a fruit and said, don't eat that fruit. And then he walked away or stepped off to the side. So either he's not all present or he just ignored them. While a great tempter that he also created and put in the garden with his naive creation, tempted his naive creation that didn't have a good sense of right and wrong and didn't know, therefore, that it would be right to listen to God. He tempted them, and they ate the fruit, and now humanity's punished for it. God set us up for failure. That would make us shitty. Making humans means they make choices. There's no human with no choice. Sure, but we're still set up for failure. It's also important to mention the whole love me or I'll hurt you. Love me and follow me or you go to hell. What kind of a choice is that? Follow me, worship me, or I'll burn you in hell for all of eternity. There's not even a third option where, like, we don't need to be with God, but also, like, don't get punished for not wanting to be with him. That doesn't sound like a good father. That doesn't sound like a good God. That doesn't sound like a good anything. It's like telling a 2-year-old to not eat cookies that's on a plate in front of them, turning your back, and then punishing a 2-year-old for eating the cookies. Yeah. Hell isn't punishment. Hell is separation from God. It also happens to be eternal torment. Why did God make it that way? Why did God make it to where if you don't follow him and praise him and worship him, the only other option is suffering? God set up the system. He could have set it up any way he wants. I love my daughter. And if she one day decides that she doesn't love me, I'm not going to wish suffering on her for the rest of her days. I'm going to let her go and live her life. I will still love her. I will still support her. I'm not going to... It's just weird and it's sadistic to just want to punish her just because she doesn't like me. Especially if it's the God of the Bible, who's okay with things like genocide and slavery and misogyny and child abuse. I don't want to follow that God. He also really hasn't done anything to prove himself, as far as I can see. With Jesus, we are set up for victory. Following God is supposed to be the actual love, joy, peace. I get more love, joy, and peace away from Christianity and away from God. So maybe not. God is joy, so apart from God, what is the opposite of joy? Why did he create it like that? It is torment, though, because if we're separate, hell is eternal torment, because it's devoid of God, which means it's devoid of anything good or light or anything like that. Why? And why is that the default? Can we talk about that? How we come into this world and we're put on a conveyor belt heading towards eternal damnation, and God says, I can take you off that conveyor belt. You just have to bow. You just have to follow me and love me. Or I'll just leave you on that conveyor belt, and you'll suffer for all of eternity. He created it like this for our sakes. He cannot make other gods who are perfect. He cannot make other gods who are perfect? What do you mean by that? So if I know this, why don't I come to God? Because I'm not going to follow your God no matter what he offers me or threatens me with. Hello. Jesus gives you a peace that the world can't give you. It's real. I have found more peace without religion, without Christianity, without Jesus. God gives us the freedom to choose him or not. Then we don't choose him in life. Why would we get to be with him for eternity? That's fine, but why isn't there an option where we don't have to be with him, but also don't get tortured and punished forever? That's not a good choice. If he can do anything, he can make another perfect God. He can. Hell is separation from God, which is separation from all things good and light. So there's nothing good. There's nothing good in hell. Why would you not want to be with God if the universe forever after this life? Because he's a monster. If it's the God of the Bible, he's a monster. Who's cool with things like genocide and slavery and misogyny and child abuse. God does do good. He is goodness, so to be severed from him must be bad. Can't there be a neutral? Like I said, if my daughter doesn't want anything to do with me, I don't want her to have a shitty life. I want her to have a good life without me. And if I can help get that for her, even if she wants nothing to do with me, if I had the power to give my child, who I love, a good life without me because she doesn't want me, I would do that. And if I had the power to make her life a living hell just because she didn't want to be with me, I wouldn't do that. Because that's not love. That's not actual love. Justice is a monster? Explain that. What do you mean by asking justice is a monster? I am the revelation of Jesus Christ. Hello. No, it's not logical for primal perfect source to create another primal perfect source. He must create us as we are, and we are robots. That's fine. But why is it love me or I'll hurt you? Praying for you, brother. Hope you find the path. Well, I appreciate the sentiment. That's like saying, why won't you go home for the holidays when your parents are abusers? Yeah. I don't know. Make it make sense. Make the love me or suffer thing make sense. And now you're just, I am the second coming of Jesus Christ. Blessed are those invited to the wedding feast of the Lamb. First off, now you're just being a blasphemous troll. You straight up said that you are the second coming of Jesus Christ. How can you claim that and actually be a Christian? Those are all the things that humans did. He brought the Jews out of slavery. And then he said that the Jews could purchase slaves from the nations that are around them, keep them as slaves forever, and even pass them down to their children, even pass the slaves down to their children as an inheritance after they pass away. And you can beat them with a rod so long as they don't pass away within a couple of days. But if they pass away after a couple of days, it's fine because they're your property anyway. No, it's like a child running away and starving to death. The child who ran away had free food offered. But why does he create the world in such a way where we just can't survive without him? Where it's going to be suffering and starving without him? If I'm in your house, do you get to set the house rules? Or can I just do whatever I want? Oh, so God can do whatever he wants. So it doesn't matter if he's good or bad or whatever. He can just, it's the potter and clay analogy. We're just nothing. He makes the rules, he calls the shots, no matter how horrible it is. I believe you're taking that out of context. I hear that a lot, and I'm not. Yeah, Isaiah 45. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Yeah. You say horrible, what do you mean? A God that supports things like slavery and genocide and child abuse and misogyny is what I mean. Now you're just spitting Bible verses at me. I did grow up Christian. Devout Christian for most of my life. I even often spoke out in defense of Christianity and helped other people find their faith and strengthen their faith. Justice for evil people is evil to them. What evil people, though? I'm not evil. I've committed less genocides than your God. I mean, just focusing on genocides, not even worrying about all of the other moral comparisons, but just focusing on genocides, If you've never committed genocide, you're better than God. You're more moral than God. If you've only committed one genocide, you're still more moral than God. I need evidence for the claims you just made. What claim should I make? I also think I missed something. What led me to falling away from my faith, diving into my studies to try to strengthen it. I wanted to be a Christian apologist. I was dedicated to God. I thought I had a good relationship with him and communicated with him, prayed throughout the day, made sure all of my steps aligned with his will, and I wanted to bring other people to Christ. And I did do it for a few people, mostly like closer people. And a lot of people thought that I was being called to become a priest, just because they just thought, just with the things I said and how I acted and carried myself, they thought this dude like is going to be a priest. Like this dude actually has a connection with God. And I wanted, I thought I did. So I wanted to better defend my faith. And when I was in high school, I took a Christian apologetics class where I discovered that I wasn't equipped to defend my faith. I'm like, if I go up on a debate stage against an atheist, I'm going to lose. And then that's not going to help my goal at all. That's not going to help my plan at all. So I dove into my studies, studying scripture, church history, other religions, their gods, evidence for and against a god, scientific explanations for things, basically just anything that I might need to win, to help spread God's light, love, and message throughout the whole world if I could. Probably not the whole world, but as far as I could. So you blindly believed. Where did you get that? Where did you get that? But over time, when you really dive into studies like that, a lot of times it's like looking behind the curtain. And things like religions and gods really just start to lose their credibility the more you look into that stuff. And it doesn't happen for everyone that way, but there's a lot of stories like that, and that's mine. And slowly, over the course of the next 7 years after that, I slowly drifted away from my faith. Was still a Christian for like 5 of those years. And then I think a theist for like a year or two, and then finally an atheist. You said you weren't equipped to defend the faith. Oh, so that means I wasn't a true Christian because I wasn't equipped to defend the faith. Even though as soon as I've realized that, I hurriedly, I quickly tried to fix that issue. Any of my shortcomings, I stopped to fix so that I could continue to serve the Lord. I believe without actually understanding blind faith. Not really trying to like poo on those comments, but I get a lot of comments like that. It's like, you didn't have faith to begin with. You weren't really saved. You didn't actually understand. And those are just common arguments that I hear just to dismiss and discredit atheists. You don't know my life. You don't know my mind. You don't know anything. But if you can say stuff like, you were just never a true Christian to begin with, you didn't actually have the faith, you didn't even really have the connection or whatever, you can just brush me off the plate. You can just dismiss and discredit. And a lot of former believers get this. Just get thrown away, dismissed and discredited. And it's also just really gross when you spend a lot of your life as a devout Christian. And it's other Christians, it's like, oh, we're family. We're brothers and sisters in Christ. And then you lose the faith and you're told you were never a Christian to begin with. You were never one of us to begin with. It's gross. And it's dismissive and discrediting. And I'm not exactly accusing you of intentionally being dismissive or discrediting, but you're getting into that territory. And it's not your fault. A lot of Christians believe stuff like that, and a lot of Christians are taught to believe stuff like that because it's just easier to dismiss and discredit someone than it is to actually engage with them. But that's not how it works. That's not actually how it works. Plenty of people who truly have the faith, perhaps even people with better and stronger faith than you will ever have lost the faith. And you could still lose the faith. I thought through the majority of my life that nothing could convince me that God wasn't real, that nothing could tear me away from God. And here I am. So, what can we do? What can we do? Yeah, it was more of an accumulation of things. Mostly just diving into my studies is really what it was. And just seeing like, oh, we really don't have reason to believe in any of this. You know? If you can make a statement like God commits a genocide, I will say you never knew him. Sodom and Gomorrah, Noah's Ark, and then the times that he commanded the Israelites to commit genocide on various people. And maybe even a partial genocide in Egypt. I wouldn't even say that a genocide, but a mass killing of the people in Egypt. Because he didn't like wipe them out. But like, he repeatedly hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he takes credit for hardening Pharaoh's heart throughout the narrative, stopping Pharaoh's free will. Maybe Pharaoh would have let the Israelites go early. I guess we'll never know, because God repeatedly hardened his heart so that he wouldn't. Did matter and energy create itself out of nothing? Probably not. And I have no idea what created all that, how everything got going, but that does not mean that it must be a God. You need your own individual evidence. You can't play God of the gaps. Because we used to say the season's changing. Used to be credited to some supernatural entity or power, or a number of supernatural entities or powers, depending on the culture or religion. Things like the sun rising and setting, natural disasters, insect swarms, diseases. People thought throughout history that these must be supernatural things, because what else could they possibly be? But now we know that they have natural explanations. So when we look at things like how the universe get here, where did matter and energy come from? You can't just say, well, it couldn't have been anything other than something supernatural, because we made that same mistake with so many other things, so many times throughout history. We can't use that anymore. That's where the God of the gaps becomes a fallacy. You need your own actual positive evidence. Even if you could disprove all of science and all scientific information and knowledge, that still doesn't get you any closer to proving that a God is real. You need to provide proper evidence for a God. And not just, I don't know how this works, therefore it must be magic. It must be a God. That's just not a good argument. Hence why it's failed us so many times. And I'm sorry if I missed some of your chats. I get into my ramblings and I'm talking and I'm not reading all the chats, and there's quite a few of you in here, so please forgive me. I should probably get off soon. I usually do these lives for about an hour. I usually try to cap it out at like an hour, and then like I am now, enjoy the conversation too much and don't want to get off, but I really should. Probably soon. What time is it? Oh yeah, it's 11. Denying God doesn't make abiogenesis real? No. And I didn't say it did. Nothing that I said points to that. If we have evidence for something and reason to believe, then we have evidence and reason to believe. Disproving God doesn't do anything. And I don't think you can disprove God any easier than you can prove God. Revisit Cliff Nettle. I'm really not, and I've read the Gospels a few times, and like, you know, I pursued Jesus for most of my life, and it just didn't work out. The Cliff guy, I'm really just not interested in him. And I mean, I say that, I always say that hesitantly when I talk about like some Christian apologists, because let's be honest, all of those, you know, apologists, popular apologists, know so much more than I do, and would demolish me on a debate stage. So, you know, I say that, you know, take that with a grain of salt when I give my inputs on different popular Christian apologists. They could all absolutely demolish me and know what they're doing more than I do. but still not really impressed with most of them. You think the perfect creation was an accident? I don't think there's a perfect creation. I think smuggling in the word creation implies a creator, which we haven't proven. So I wouldn't even call it creation, and I wouldn't call it perfect. Our source of light gives us cancer. You know, just one thing, just one small thing that I can point out. I cannot prove that I'm not a brain in a jar. Do animals ponder God? That is a great question, and I've asked myself that a number of times as well. I would like to know, like, what is God to a cat? You know, well, if it's a cat, they probably think that they're God, but which God isn't real? I don't have any reason to believe that any of them are. I should probably go soon. The heart is our map to the Lord. A software engine knows the software they created. We will continue to feel lost and confused without knowing our identity. That's not the case for everyone. It's just kind of not. If Christianity were true, what I believe, if Christianity were proven to be true, yeah. I still wouldn't follow the Christian God, because I don't think he's a good being who deserves following, but I would believe it. If you prove to me that any God is real, or any religion, or anything supernatural, I'll believe it. I'll believe if I have sufficient reason to believe, but I don't. Not even the flying spaghetti monster. I'm sorry. God spoke to me. I would consider myself crazy if I deny him after that. The evidence was so strong, so it's impossible for me to think it wasn't God. A lot of people say that, and a lot of people think that other gods talk to them, and other people say that the same God talks to them and gives them different answers. So it's possible that it could just be your head voice that you're mistaking for a god, or some other external stimuli that you're interpreting as God. It is not really good evidence. We could be wrong. Humans can always be wrong. Standard for good, not committing genocide. Humans have kind of evolved with a set of morals and ethics that seem generally based around human well-being and happiness and safety. And that's an idea that's just evolved over time. And we can understand that, I don't know, murdering people, it takes their life. That's not good. And it's not good for a society. Societies often tend to work better when we work together. And people have empathy. Empathy's probably evolved so that people work better in societies, because people who work better in societies tend to have a better chance of survival. And that's also where we can get laws. I don't want to get robbed, you don't want to get robbed, so let's create and or support a place, a community, city, state, whatever, where theft is illegal and criminalized and punished to deter people for everyone's safety. Everything works better when we're all working together. And we've evolved with that sense of empathy that, what if that were me? I don't want to die, so why would I take somebody else's life? Especially if I don't think there's anything else after this life. Just closing the book on someone, just ending their entire existence, that sounds awful and dreadful. Hello? Are there any arguments for God's existence that you find intriguing, fine-tuning, moral question, etc.? I like thinking about stuff, and that's not to say that I'm good at it. I'm good at thinking quantitatively, not qualitatively, usually. I have ADHD, so I think a lot. So, I like thinking about stuff, and I like this topic. So I mean, there's a lot of them. The Kalam argument, the first cause, what caused the universe? It's weird. It's crazy. I don't know, and I don't know does not just translate to a God, you know? Because we used to say, I don't know where the sun goes at night, must be something supernatural, and it's not, you know. So we can't just keep using that same line of thinking that's kept failing us for so many years. So I think stuff like that, it really gets me thinking. And also, um, I don't know if this is an actual like argument that's been presented, but or if it's just me. I'm sure somebody else has come up with it, but I don't know if I found it, or I don't know if it's like up there with like the Kalam or intelligent design or anything. But like, I have often thought in the past, I'm too here to not be here, and let me explain that. Um, if there's no God, no supernatural stuff, no afterlife, when I pass away, I'm just gone. I cease to exist. But I'm here. I'm too here. But maybe that is just because the brain is just so complex, because it is, that it brings forth this sense of consciousness that seems almost disconnected from the physical body. I don't know, but that is one thing that often gets me thinking. Uh, I don't know, and some personal experiences here and there that can't really explain. This guy seems cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. If there's no God, there's no point in living or dying. Well, I don't really know if there's a point in dying. Dying kind of sucks. I mean, we need to make room on this planet, for everybody else. Don't anybody rush to your graves, but conveyor belt. People leave, more people come in. So we can't. If everyone lived forever, we'd have a population issue, and that would be an issue. I didn't say your personal experience counted. I'm not trying to use my personal experience as evidence for God. I was asked if there's any arguments that are intriguing, and I'm saying there are personal experiences that I've personally had that are intriguing, but I'm not actually trying to use them as arguments or evidence or anything. It's just like, that's weird. What was I saying? I'm sorry. The point of living is whatever you want it to be. I don't really think there's an objective point. We're here. And if there's not an afterlife, I think that gives more point and more importance to this life, because this is it. If there's not an afterlife, there's nothing after this, this is it. So that means this is the only point. This is the only thing that matters. Can we speak live? I don't really have a method to do that, unfortunately. I'm not one of the atheist call-in shows where I can have that. Okay. I am grateful for all of your conversations, and it is always at the end of the lives where I'm having good conversations and I don't want to go, but I try to keep these alive, and I do have other stuff to do tonight, and I'm already quite a bit past an hour. I'm not trying to leave. I talked about Pascal's wager earlier in this. It's not a very good argument. Maybe you can watch back later, or I'll bring it up later, I'm sure. I want to make a video on it, but I just need to make time to do that. But I have a Discord. It's not live or anything yet, because I don't feel like I can properly moderate it. And I want it to be a nice, safe, controlled environment where people can just sit down and have conversations and there's nothing too crazy going on. And right now I can't provide that with a Discord. I don't have like moderators and stuff. So that's on the back burner. Hopefully someday it can come up, but this is the best I have. In terms of talking and interacting, that's why I do these lives, so I can at least kind of interact, even though I know you are hindered by the chat, and I hate that. But I just don't have a method to voice communicate or face communicate with people in videos or anything. And I wouldn't want to do it in private. I don't know any of you, so I wouldn't want to like have private conversations. So unfortunately, this is all I have. And unfortunately, this is all I have for this live. Thank you all truly so much for being here and for bringing up great arguments and for engaging. It is greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. Thank you for everyone who liked, any comments, anyone who watch this live for more than half a second because I'm a random nobody on the internet. I'm no one special. So the fact that anyone looks at me is pretty cool. I'm live usually every Tuesday night at around 9-ish, 9:30-ish, somewhere between 9 and 10-ish, usually close to like 9:30 or after uh, Central Standard Time. If you want to keep coming back and keep continuing discussions, that would be great because I get good discussions and then people leave and then I don't see them anymore. It's like sad face. I wanted to keep talking about your thing because I try to I try to I try to be open and communicate. I try not to be just a brick wall. Like I try not to be like, oh, you're just stupid. This doesn't. I try to think through and stuff, but and have conversations. I think they're important. Hence why I like doing these lives. But yeah, that's what I do live. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have an amazing night, and maybe I'll see you later. Bye.